For Dr. Antonius Alijoyo, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be able to share with you in some words in a very good initiative today, the manifesto and the particular thematic, as we said, SDG within the common. As the chairman of the Alumni Association for the Faculty of Economics Parahyangan, I'm very proud to share the following words with all of you in a very short. SDG for Sustainable Development Goals within the common. We understand what SDG stands for. We understand what the meaning is. But the real challenge is how to implement it, not at a big scale, but how to start with ourselves. So the thematic is within the company is a reflection as well. It is started also written from the individual, the DNA of the company, i.e. the human being. It's all of us. So SDG is the word idea is very important to all of us as a human. Promoting and acting SDG within the company, actually, it will become an effective across our decision and action that would allow us to research and sustain the history of mankind. Without SDG, there will be no further history of the mankind. There is no any further generation. So then I would say that very highly appreciated the thematic being picked up by the participants and by the committee. Therefore, congratulations to the committee who actually host the manifesto and also to all participants, to all of us. And let's share together, let's join together to preserve, as you said, the history of mankind, as I have already said. Yeah, as we are of you, yeah, we need to make it sure the pillar of the history of mankind is actually built upon what we are doing today. Again, congratulations. I do hope that this manifesto is actually the living realization of Bhakti Hyang Nirguna Santiata Bhakti. We believe in a God and we try to serve the advancement of humanity. Nothing will be more right than participate and involve in the SDG. Congratulations to the all participants and thank you so much for your participation and support. Success and stay healthy.
Thank you, Dr. Antonius Alijoyo, for the amazing opening speech. Now, we'll watch the performance from Taksin University.
Hello, my name is Katie, and I'm studying at Taksin University. We're glad to receive the invitation from Parayangan Catholic University, our partner university in Indonesia, and also the member of ASEAN Learning Network, to show the performance from Thailand in Menefesto 2021 event, which is held by Parayangan Catholic University during 14 to 22 December 2021. This performance is called Jitboran Art Pattern. It's about a performance that brings out the distinctive features of color, patterns, gestures, characters in a painting to present. Driving the introductory poem followed by holding a melody, creative songs from old song, use a southern accent band choreography by taking the gestures that appear on the paintings, presented by using the dance structure of Wang Chao Praya Nakhon Si Thammarat mixed with the Taram Nora structure. The costumes are created using colored strokes that appear on the paintings. Please enjoy the performance.
จิตรกรรมฝ้าผนังครั้งตอนเก่าวัดคูเตาบางคลำเมืองสงขลาอายุ134 ปีมีมาเลขครับกราเหมือนรูปนางครั้งแต่ไรจังทองทิลศิลปินผู้ทรงคุณชายสีฟุ้นวัดลาเป็นฉากใหญ่ให้ลายเส้นงดงามไม่ตามใครสีสดใสโดดเด่นเป็นแปลกตาเล่าเรื่องพระเวสสันดรนางมัตสีบำเพ็ญทานบารมีที่ยาภาพสิ้นโบราณสืบนานมาเอกลักษณ์คู่สงขลาสืบนานไปข้อเรียงรอยภาพนั้นที่ท่านสร้างเป็นท่าทางกระบวนระบำไม่ดนตรีบรรเลงรับประทับใจจะคันใกล้เป็นลำดับเชิญตรับชมแล้วทางดนตรีบรรเลงรับประทับใจ
How an amazing performance from Taksin University, Thailand for the traditional dance performance. Now, we will invite our moderator for today, Mr. Fernando Mulia, and this is the profile of Mr. Fernando Mulia. First, he is a lecturer in Management Science Department Parahyangan Catholic University, SCORE Training Global Expert International Labor Organization, Deputy Executive Director Asian Learning Network, Certified Graphologist, Certified Assessor for Assessment Center, Management Consultant, IT Consultant, SME Coach.
And from 2021 until present, he is the Faculty of Economics Alumni Association Secretary General, and from 2014 until present, he is the UNPAR ASEAN Learning Network Official Representative, and from 2016 until present, he is the head of STEED UNPAR program, and from 2014 until 2017, he was the Vice Dean for Student Affairs and Alumni, and also the head of Leadership Camp program. And from 2006 until 2007, he was the International Marketing Supervisor.
To Mr. Fernando Mulia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Natasha, and also Sharon. Good evening to everyone. Very warm welcome from Bandung, Indonesia. Thank you very much for coming to this Menefesto. For 2 days, I think it's the last webinar for 2 days. In the first days of the Menefesto, we will have the theme SDGs within companies. During this session, we will have two speakers. Committee, please could you share screen? Okay, I will introduce our two distinguished speakers. The first one is Mr. Gerry Kertowidjojo. His educational background is business managerial economics at University of California, and the work experience is currently work as director, one of a director at Salim Group, and also currently serve as president director at Indomobil Prima Energi, and also president director at PT JLM Auto Indonesia. Our second speakers, please forward. Okay. Mrs. Gabrielle Anggriani, or Mrs. Gabby. Her education, bachelor's degree communication general at University of Indonesia, and also currently she served as VP, Vice President, Head of Corporate Affairs, Public Policy and Government Relation at Nestle, and also currently work as Recycling Association, Communication and Lead and Sustainability Advocacy at Praise. She will tell what is praise later on during this presentation. And also, she also take professional courses, content marketing, certified digital marketing at HubSpot Academy. So without further ado, we will begin our first session. I would like to ask to Mr. Gerry. Mr. Gerry, are you already with us?
Hello.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Gerry. Nice to see you.
Hi.
Okay.
Good to see you. Good evening, Fernando.
Good evening. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Okay, doing great also. Okay, for the first speaker, Mr. Gerry will present his presentation around 20 minutes. During the presentation session, if the audience have any question, you can send chat to the question box. You can find to destinationnya to question box, and you can type the question there. And the Q&A session will be held after the two speakers present their presentation. Okay, Mr. Gerry, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Fernando. For this, I will have my assistant Jessica to show the presentation deck. Okay. Can everyone see this? Yeah.
Yes, we can see
so,
it clearly.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for the time and opportunity. Today, as a group in the Indomobil Prima Energi and the Greater Sun Group, we want to share a bit of our view on the SDG framework and what is our role on the participating in this movement. Yeah. So to begin, I think I'll introduce a little bit of who we are. Next slide, please. Okay, so I think many of you will know or familiar with the name Salim Group. It is one of Indonesia's biggest conglomerate group. It was established in 1972. We hold many assets throughout many different business categories, but our major business still go around the food industry through our Indofood Sukses Makmur, where this company hold many of the well-known brands, such as the largest instant noodle producer, Indomie, Indomilk, Bimole, etc. We also have the Indomobil Group for the automotive division. This is where Indomobil Prima Energi resides. It is also one of the Indonesia's largest car manufacturer and distributor. Indomaret is Indonesia's largest convenience store chain. And of course, beyond this, we do have many other projects that we cannot share in greater detail in the interest of time. Next slide, please. So a little bit more on Indomobil Group. Our focus has been on the automotive industry. So we hold brands for the passenger vehicles such as Jaguar, Land Rover, Audi, Volkswagen, Kia, Nissan, Suzuki, and on the commercial vehicle as well, heavy equipment, tractors, and spare parts. But beyond that, we expand our business towards more of service industry, where we provide the logistic as well as different logistic solution. We also enter into the fuel and lubricant business with the partnership with ExxonMobil. This is the project under Indomobil Prima Energi, which I am in charge of. Next slide. Next slide please. Yeah. So a little bit background of the Indomobil. It was established in the 1976. And we continue to expand throughout the years. And in the 1993, we established our service department. Next slide. So we're not going to go into details of that basically because we have so many different operations and we will not be able to cover all the different projects that we do as a group in a single session. So in the field of SDG, today what we want to share with you on the SDG is basically what it is in our view and how can we participate in it. SDG is a framework that the UN has developed after they talked with so many different parties, more than 1,500 companies throughout the globe, to get some alignment in goals as a humanity. What should we do in order for us to be sustainable? Yeah, in general, if we want to summarize it, the goal is one, how do we continue to exist in this planet? This is a concern of sustainability. And number two is how can we continue to strive as a species with better living conditions? Yeah. Those are the major goals that we want to be aligned. And today we want to share with you our efforts to participate in the SDG movement. So on our view, at least on the Indomobil Prima Energi, we look for different projects that is scalable projects, not really a one-off solution. So the projects need to be self-sustaining, that's one. Number two, we prioritize large-scale circular economy projects, yeah, to make an impact and a better return of our efforts. Number three, we engage the greater population with a rewarding experience. And this is one of the key because all these goals cannot be achieved with any single parties. Yeah, we do need to have participation with many different corporations, as well as the general public and the government as well. And number four is how do we create multiplier effects by involving many different layers throughout the society. So these are the things that we try to consider when we are bringing into new projects that somewhat align with these SDG goals. Yeah, next slide. Now our group have many different operations and many of the operation might be considered going not in the support of the SDG, but at the same time, these operations are necessity for the economy as well as the for our daily necessities. But even with the, for example, Indomobil Prima Energi, we are in the business of importing and distribution of fuels, so diesel, yeah, what we call solar here in the country, as well as gasoline, yeah, for the petrols for the cars, as well as machineries. But even those projects, we can find opportunities to be able to move forward through the SDGs. What we see here, plastic waste in Indonesia is by far the largest in the world. And this plastic waste is driven by our habit of using single-use plastic products. And for example, like a straw, the straw can serve its function only within 8 minutes while we enjoy the beverages. After that, we discard it. Plastic bags serve its function for about an hour when we carry our groceries. And wrappers, for example, for the bread loaves, can serve its function for only 3 days before we discard it. This is how we accumulate so much plastic waste. Yeah. And what's interesting facts right now is 70% of the seafood that we consume already contaminated with microplastics, which end up in our system, in our bodies, which is unhealthy and can cause a lot of health implications. Another fun fact is if we continue this practice, by 2050, yeah, there will be more plastic in the sea than there are fish by weight. So this is a very serious concern that I think we need to address. And as Indonesia is the largest waste plastic producer, there is a lot of opportunity. And what we try to do to support this movement is how we partner up solutions with the different operations we have as a group. Next slide. So Indonesia, again, is the largest waste plastic producer with a total of 8 million tons of plastic waste a year. We only recycle about 10% of those. Is mostly on the higher value plastic waste, such as the PET. And then the rest, 29%, goes to the landfill, managed disposal or dump site. So basically, we can take care about 39% of the plastic waste that we have as a country. But the question is, what happened to the 61%? The 61% goes to unmanaged disposal area, to the river, etc., and will end up in the ocean. Yeah. So this is the issue that we need to address, because as we all know, plastic takes such a very long time for it to degrade naturally. So the Ministry of Environment of Indonesia says 72% of Indonesian consumers are considered as irresponsible consumers. This is the latest data in 2019. Next slide. So throughout our different operations, we do have many SDG initiatives, that we do. But in the interest of time today, we cannot go over all the different initiatives that we are doing, all the different projects we are doing as a group. So today we only gonna touch a few items here that focuses around the goal 9, 12, 13, and 17. Basically, industry innovation and infrastructures, responsible consumption and production, climate action, partnership for the goals. Yeah. Next slide. So briefly, I think our friend here from Nestle will discuss more on the PRAISE project. This is a partnership of many different large corporations in order to address the plastic waste in the country, but it focuses on more on the how do we produce a more efficient way in terms of cost and plastic usage in the bottles that we use for distributing beverages. Another one that Indofood is doing through this program is manage a few waste management, local waste management group called Bank Sampah in DKI as well as Lampung. So I will not go in depth on this as our friend will probably go deeper in this as well. Next slide. So what we want to talk about today is more surrounding the Indomobil Prima Energi business as a company. We distribute petroleum products, yeah, from the diesel, petrols, as well as lubricant. So it might seem that our industry that we are doing is a bit against of the SDG in terms of the environmental sustainability direction. But then again, it is a necessity for us as a country to keep being productive. Yeah. So even in this industry, we can find opportunities to support the SDG movement. Particularly, energy is the partnership between us and a Spain company, where we can bring a new technology to recycle unrecyclable product currently, such as LDPE, PS, and PP type of plastic, from with the pyrolysis process to convert it into plastic diesel. Yeah. This plastic diesel, then we're gonna mix it with the virgin petroleum diesel to create green plastic diesel. That means we can take all currently unrecyclable plastic that goes to the landfill and to the ocean and convert it into fuel to be used in the daily activities, such as in the diesel cars or as in the large machineries in the factories, as well as heavy equipment. This project has been, we've been exploring this project for the last 2 years or so. The investment will be about $65 million per plant. And this plant can process about 75 tons of plastic waste every day for a total of about 21,000 tons per year. Now, we have this project already commercially proven, in operation in Spain. We have 2 plants that is already commercially operating. And we are building another one in France. Yeah. So in terms of business case, this is a sustainable business proposition in the global sense. But in Indonesia, we do find some complication. Yeah. The investment for the plastic energy plant itself is about $40 to $50 million. And the other $15 to $20 million is investment in a sorting facility for Indonesia, specifically for Indonesia. So even though the project is still viable for Indonesia, it is less attractive in terms of the investment as well as operating costs. For us to invest in Indonesia versus if we're gonna invest in Singapore, Hong Kong, or any other Western countries where the feedstock is already sorted and available. Yeah. So for us here in Indonesia, the issue is we do not have sorting at source, where the plastic is mixed with all the general waste. So if we go to the landfill, we need to be able to extract this plastic product, the LDPE, PS, and PP, in order for us to get our required feedstock into the plant. So the next few slides, we're not gonna talk much about the technology of the plastic energy project itself, but we're gonna talk about the sorting facility, which is a huge investment as well as expensive to operate. That is required specifically for Indonesia. Yeah. Next slide. So the study began at the Batam last year, March 2020. This is the TPA Telaga Punggur Batam. This TPA is receiving about 800 tons a day of general waste, close to 300,000 tons a year. And this is all being dumped into the landfill. Now, for us to open the plastic energy plant, we need to see if there is available in feedstock that we can capture and use it for the plastic energy plant. Next slide. So the study conducted on what is this composition of the 800 tons daily incoming waste. So we have our team going to the field and spending weeks to do sampling, waste sampling. So we collect all the different waste, the general waste, and we sort it to different sorted samples. And we also compare the what you call the moisture content of each of the potential feedstock that we need to use for the plastic energy project. So we need to do drying, and then we see how much weight we lost every day until there is no more significant weight reduction. Therefore, we can calculate how much moisture we can take out naturally from the plastic waste. Next step. Next slide. So the waste is divided into many different categories. Plastic waste, the PET bottle and PET bottle, colored bottle. Those two are a higher value plastic waste, which are usually taken by the pemulung, scavengers, and can be sold to the recycling company. But the rest of the plastic, the PP cup, the LDPE film, HDPE film, ES foam, straw, PVC, these are very low value plastic where there is no company that can offtake this product currently. So there is no scavenger to take and sort this product. So all of this going to the landfill, and it will take many, many years for it to degrade, and it will cause a lot of environmental issues as it degrades itself. We also have a non-plastic product just to see the different composition. And the largest, of course, is the organic product. Next slide. So the point of the study is to see how much feedstock we can capture in order to fiber or not at bottom. So from 11.16% of the general waste, so that's about 90 tons of the waste goes into the landfill every day. But out of these 90 tons, only about 5 tons are PET waste, plastic waste. So very small. So the collectors, the scavengers, and or what you call here is the pemulung, they are quite good in terms of collecting this plastic bottle because they are higher value, so they can sell it to the recycling company. For the lower value products, the non-PVC, non-PET waste, about 84 tons, they are just going to the landfill. So this is the one that is not being addressed currently. And with the plastic energy project, we can process this 84 tons of waste. And that's ultimately that's what we want to do with this project. Next slide. But again, the issue is this 84 tons is mixed all together with the general waste. So for us in Indonesia, we need to go and invest on what we call is a sorting facility. This sorting facility is a very large investment, about $15 to $20 million by itself. And the general idea is how do we take all these 800 tons incoming waste, move it through our system, and extract the 84 tons that is available in the general waste as our feedstock. So if you can imagine, we need to move all the weight of all this general waste, 800 tons, throughout all the system in order for us to sort the different type of waste. Next slide. With this large investment and this large process, it is very costly in terms of capital as well as operating costs. And out of the 800 tons, through the study, we can only extract about 60 tons. So you need to process 800 tons of waste to get 60 tons of feedstock. This is very costly and very inefficient and also not very environmentally friendly, because to move 800 tons of product, you need a lot of electricity. You need a lot of human resources. You need a lot of equipment and maintenance in order for us to extract this 60 tons. Yes, the project is still viable even with this investment, but it's not as attractive as us opening the plastic energy plant somewhere in Singapore or Hong Kong, where the plastic, the feedstock is already sorted and easily available. This is becoming our major issue in Indonesia as a country to address the plastic situation. Next slide. So the point is, from this study, what we want to share with you today is, one, sorting is very expensive. Yeah. So we do need to have a big, significant change in our behavior as a consumer. Everyone needs to participate, and everyone can participate. Yeah. It's as easy as sorting our waste through organic, paper, glass, plastic waste. Yeah. If we can sort it, that's the first step. We do understand that a lot of people got disappointed because after they sort it accordingly, they see the garbage truck come in and take all the different product and put it together, and it's kind of defeat the purpose. But the point is, the infrastructure, yes, it's not there yet, but the infrastructure investment will not make sense if there is not enough participation from the population. Yeah. So instead of us saying, okay, there's no point for me to sort, it is actually what we need to say is, it is important for me to sort, and it is important for more people to sort the waste, so that the big corporation, the government will see there is a potential to invest in the infrastructure. Yeah. So don't give up in the sorting, and from here we can see that the infrastructure investment will come along to follow suit. But beyond this, us as a second generation, the younger generation, we can also come up with many different solutions in either the sorting situation or even in the promoting the sorting as source kind of solution. Next slide. Yeah, so another project that we are running as a company, Indomobil Prima Energi, is called Plastic Pay. It's a partnership with a group of startups where they have what is called a reverse vending machine. This reverse vending machine is supported with apps. So any consumer who download the app and they throw away a bottle into the reverse. Yeah. So in here, we try to engage the greater population by giving them a rewarding experience. Yeah. But not only this, beyond the front end, the consumer facing product of the reverse vending machine and the application, we also develop a greater kind of solution and vision. Yeah. So next slide. So something this simple can actually be drive into a greater project. With the partnership with the Indomobil Prima Energi, using our footprints, as we are have many locations, more than 1,500 sites. We use all these locations as well as our infrastructure to create a sizable kind of project where from this size, we can partner up with the largest recycling company where they can guarantee to offtake all these bottles, yeah, because it's sizable enough. It makes sense for us to do. And this recycling company, they can create this recycle fabric that you can use in the automotive application. But also what we want to do is we use this fabric to create a more upscale product. Yeah, but not simply as creating upscale product. We want to involve as many layers as possible. So after this fabric is being manufactured, we will distribute it through our network again, and we can engage the local SMEs or UMKM, the local tailors. From here, the local tailors can purchase the product, the fabric, and we will give them guidance on how to make the tote bags, the wallet, the laptop bag. You can see on the bottom right, yeah. And we can guarantee to buy back the product as long as they meet our quality standard. Yeah, so we can empower the local community, not just through the consumer side, but we can empower the local community. And once we have purchased back all this finished product, we use our infrastructure to collect, and we can sell it, upsell it to the corporate level. Yeah, not only this, we can also bring the recycling products into the global community. Currently in Indonesia, the issue is with the recycling product, the global community do not have a clear traceability. Yeah. So some of the global community have high concerns in terms of child labor, for example. Those who collect the bottles and then sell the bottles, are they underage, are they child laborers, or are they proper collectors? With this innovation, with this plastic pay innovation, we can trace every single bottle, who deposited, where it's collected, when it's being created, to which batch of fabric, where this fabric is distributed to the local community to produce this product, and what kind of product it's made of. So it's have an end-to-end full traceability, which we can then engage the global community to absorb this finished product. Yeah. So these are the different solutions as us as a company, Indomobil Prima Energi, that we are exploring. Again, the solution might not be the final solution for the plastic waste situation as a country. We cannot tackle this issue alone. We need participation from all the different corporate, the different sector, as well as the general public as well, for us to change as a country to address this issue. Yeah. So that's why I hope that the future generation can at least change the behavior into a more aware of the plastic issue in Indonesia, and secondly, finding all the different solutions that can contribute in this plastic waste management fight. Yeah. I think that's it from my side. Thank you very much. I don't want to take too much time. So back to you, Fernando. Thank you.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gerry. What an impressive presentation about the Indomobil Group, and especially from the Indomobil Group Indomobil Prima Energi. Okay, before we discuss about the presentation, I would like move forward to the next speakers, which is Mrs. Gabriel Anggriani, or usually they call Mrs. Gabby. Mrs. Gabby, are you already here?
Hi, Mas Fernando. So hopefully you can, okay, I will just share my screen. Actually, there are a lot of.
Yes, I think it's time for us to have discussion, but since I think Miss Gabby will not be able to join us due to her background noise, I think, so I will have discussion with Mr. Gerry, I think. Mr. Gerry, are you still here with us?
Yeah, go ahead, Fernando.
Okay, Mr. Gerry, I would like to ask you one question. So, is implementing or put SDGs as consideration reduce the profitability of the company? As we all know that the corporate shareholders usually maybe demanding for the high profit. Is it contrary between the profitability and the SDGs implementation? What do you think about this, Mr. Gerry?
Yeah, so I think it's different on what kind of project, what kind of animal it is. If the SDG is more of the such as our project, we focuses on how to get something that is more scalable. In that sense, then we do need to see a profitable project by itself. The project that I handle is more of a standalone projects. Yeah. But I understand that in the food industry, like in the Nestle or in the food, I think they are focusing on more on the how they can get the what do you call recycling through their packaging. Yeah. So this can create additional costs, which there is no initiative for the corporation other than for marketing Marcom, unless the government want to in place some initiative to do some taxation, for example, to promote this kind of investment. Yeah. But again, if the government is involved and creating this kind of movement, at the end of the day, the one who gonna get hit are the consumers. Yeah. Which is fine for some it's fine, but for the general public, actually, they are, especially in Indonesia, we are still having the greater of the population in the middle class of what we call even inspiring middle class. Inspiring middle class by definition are those that can be considered as middle class, but at any given moment they can come back to the low income class. Yeah, so this impact will hit them the most. For example, if we have a taxation on plastic, to increase, then the manufacturer need to pass through this additional cost to the consumer. Then for us in the middle class or upper class, it's not really creating much impact. But for the general population in the middle low, or even low income, they will be suffering the most. Yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, there are depend on the project. There are some projects that might decrease the profitability of the company, but those projects usually are not very popular unless from the big corporation where they can see the benefits from marcom, or those projects is being enforced by the government through taxation, etc. But at the end of the day, all these costs will be passed through to the consumers.
Okay, maybe we need a little bit tips from you, how you convince the shareholders when you come out with maybe quote unquote green project, which is less profitable than the other maybe not so green project. How you convince those shareholders? Because usually in the end of year meeting, they will ask, maybe they will share their opinion about that.
Sure. So for us, it's quite easy. We do not want to uptake on projects that is CSR kind of movement. Yeah, we do some CSR, but it's only a limited amount of budget. So we have a CSR budget and we will use this CSR for some SDG project, fine. But for us as a group, what we are trying to do is a longer term solution that need to be sustainable. That means the project itself need to be profitable. Otherwise, you cannot scale it up. You're limited to the CSR amount, yeah, or whatever budget you have. So you have a major constraint. So in that sense, how do we convince the stakeholder? One, we need to find good projects that is in line with SDG and still profitable. But if you cannot find those, then you need to find the budget. Basically, okay, we have this CSR budget. This is this big. What are we going to use it for? Then we can convince the stakeholder. Another one is if there is some strategic movement for us to do for, through the marketing communication. If we do this project, it will benefit us as a greater group. But those side of the project that is not profitable will not be scalable. That's the key issue. Yeah. So scalability is still our prioritization. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. Yeah, that means it's a long-term solution. It's scalable. It's adding to the economy, not penalizing the economy.
Okay, well, what's an interesting answer from you, Mr. Gerry. So I quote something from you is the sorting is very expensive. This is very interesting terms because, you know, sometimes in Indonesia, most places in big city Indonesia, they have like a different color of the garbage bin, but most of people don't care about the color. But because of their ignorance, it will cost a lot of money. Maybe I want you to maybe put stress there. So our friends here, the students, maybe begin the change will start with them because they know the consequence, because the ignorance is very expensive. Maybe you could help us with that.
Yeah, so easy. I mean, basically, if we do not uptake this movement, at the end of the day, the cost will be back to us, the younger generation, right? Because the elderly gonna pass away. Now the younger generation, you will have a lot of pollution. Everything is more expensive. You will pay it at one point or another, one way or another. So it is your responsibility as the next generation to uptake this battle against plastic waste, environmental movement. Yeah. So instead of us trying to educate the older generation, we need to start from ourselves in terms of our behavior in sorting. Yes, it is still disappointing that we sort and then we see the truck come in and take everything into one truck. So we know it's a waste.
Yes.
But at the same time, the more of the population that are doing this, the more initiative there is from the government. Yeah, there is more incentive for the government to invest in the infrastructure. A separate truck for only plastic, separate truck for organic. But right now, if the government invests on a truck only for plastic, there is not enough people doing sorting for them to go around in terms of density. Yeah, so it's not viable for them. So at one point we do need to start. Yeah, and you need to start from this generation, I think, the next generation, to address this concern. Yeah. And another thing, not only from our behavior, that's one thing that we can do. Yeah. Right now, what I say is sorting is expensive, so it's sorting at source. But at the same time, if the younger generation can come out with many different solutions that make sorting very cheap, right? So maybe sorting at source is not necessary anymore. Yeah. If you can find the technology, the solution to do massive MRF facility that is very cheap to operate, then that can also be a solution. So there is many ways to battle this. Yeah, and we try to explore and think outside the box of all the potential solutions.
Okay. Oh, wow. It's another mind-blowing statement from you. If you not pay now, if you don't change now, you will pay it with a higher price in the future. Maybe because the earth already damaged. So yeah, maybe in our grandparents, they didn't need to pay for water. Nowadays, we already pay for our water, mineral water. Maybe the future for our son, our granddaughter, great-granddaughter, son, they will pay much more for the water to drink. Okay, wow.
Correct. And not only that, like we see the data, now 70% of the seafood have microplastic contamination. That's gonna cause a lot of health issue. Yeah. And if we continue this, well, if there is a lot of marine life that is being impacted, seafood will be more expensive. That's one. So if you enjoy seafood, you better start now. Another one is if you enjoy seafood, then you do not want to have that plastic contamination in your body. Yeah. So we need to address this, and this is getting worse and worse in each generation we go through.
Okay, so guys, if you do really love seafood, you need to think about the way you recycle your plastic. Otherwise, the first one is the seafood is going to be more expensive than before. The other one, if you still buy the cheap seafood, you will get the microplastic then. Okay. That's quite a difficult choice. Okay, we have one question from our friend here, from Sela Marie Juliet. Sela, you want to unmute yourself, maybe? Is Sela here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sela, you may ask your question directly to Mr. Gerry.
So, Mr. Gerry, I'm interested in implementing bulk store system in my home, but lately I find it's difficult to get access to branded stuff in the supermarket that use bulk store. So if I want to use the bulk store system in my house, I should use the local or homemade product, not the branded one. I want to ask you, is it possible to implement the bulk store system in the supermarket so people who want to implement the bookstore system in their house can use the branded stuff, like who common that we use before we want to use the bookstore system.
Can you explain a little bit of this bookstore system?
Bookstore system is the system that customer can bring their own container or packaging, and then they just refill the product into their container, so they bring their own container to the supermarket.
Okay. Yeah. So in that sense, it's not really my expertise, so I cannot provide the answers to that question. Maybe you can talk to Gabriel from the food sector. But in general, from my understanding, the reason why we do have this packaging right now is to conserve the quality of the products and to ensure that the product can get to the consumer in its highest standard and safety, health and safety reasons. Yeah, so in that kind of solution, we do need to see if it can be implemented or not. Especially as you know, in Indonesia, it's not very environmental friendly for such a consumable product. Yeah, the air is very humid, a lot of rains. We have a lot of different type of pests that might contaminate it to your food. So are we sure that we want to implement that kind of solution? I know that some of the coffee shop already implemented those kind of system, but even then they need to follow a very stringent SOPs to ensure health and safety for their consumers, especially now during the COVID time, right? If one consumer bringing a container that is contaminated, this contamination can spread through the whole stock and can spread to the population. So there are many different considerations. I suggest that you can study more on the pro and cons, and also on the supply chain situation to have a better understanding on the why is it so difficult for companies to implement that box store system.
Okay, Sela, is it answer your question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Giri, for your answer.
Okay, thank you, Sela. Okay, we have another question from Salwa, but Salwa apologized because it is rain in her house, so she cannot unmute. But I will ask the question. So, as a company, how to apply SDGs to its human resource? Because maybe the corporate have the idea of or have the concern for the SDGs, but what about the employee? Are they put SDGs into their consideration, or they put it because it is demanded by the regulation, by the government? How to train, maybe how to train or how to make the employee realize about the importance of the SDGs?
Okay. So again, on this SDG movement, we need to start really from ourselves. We cannot enforce change of behavior to any individual. Yeah, the government cannot impose that. We cannot impose that. But we need to start from the change from ourselves. Yeah, to understand this kind of issue. Of course, educating the employees is always important job of the corporation. Yeah. We can share the situation and the different solution, and we can do best practice at the workplace. But beyond that, it is not viable for corporate to enforce or take action on the SDG movement throughout the employees. So this really need to start from the generation that is massively. I think is number one. You need to start from the educational institution to educate the next generation on this issue, and this educated next generation need to take it as their own personal goals that they can really believe and live accordingly. Yeah, so they need to change and uptake this behavior and educate everyone through example.
Okay, so they educate through the example and also put the goals as their own personal goals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the key is not really to throw everything to any party, not to throw it to the corporate, not to throw it to the government. Yeah, we need to really start looking into our generation and how can we participate in it.
Okay, I will ask to the committee, is there any other outstanding question? Because maybe I need to ask about from the question box, maybe. Wait, let me check. Okay, if there is no other question, I will wrap up for today's discussion. From Mr. Gerry, we learned about the plastic waste is initially driven by our lifestyle. So this is another fact that we find out today that Mr. Gerry shared, that your straw from your drink, coffee or cappuccino, is only serve its function for 8 minutes. And also plastic bag for 1 hour, but it will last a lot of times in the water, in the sea, in the ocean. So we need to do something from ourselves, because SDGs is not, we cannot blame and ask the government to solve the SDGs problem. The SDGs problem is our problem together. We need to solve it together. We need to put our effort together so we can have synergy there. So and also for the plastic waste, maybe it needs a lot of investment, but it is still feasible even in the term of business. And also sorting is very expensive. And Mr. Gerry also shared about the plastic pay, the reverse vending machine, and it will enhance the traceability from one product. It can be traced from who recycle this product. It is very interesting concept about the plastic pay, and it's already begin to run. Mr. Gerry told that Indomobil cooperation with the startup company, yeah, Mr. Gerry? Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Mrs. Gabby tell us about we need to go back as something that has value, and also we have also same with the Mr. Gerry that it is a joint effort. We cannot solve the SDGs problem alone, no matter how big the company. We still need the joint effort because this is the global level problem. So and also we need to have corporate value level to embrace the sustainability. Otherwise, if the company value doesn't support or doesn't embrace the sustainability, it will be useless to start the movement. So play our part, do upcycling, and maybe transform waste into something that can be useful. Okay, Sir Gerry, after I read my conclusion, there's one more question maybe. This is the last question. Okay, this is from the Michael Pangestu. Michael Pangestu, are you here? Michael, are you here? Michael, can you unmute, please?
Oh, sorry.
So you can ask, yeah. You can ask your question direct to Mr. Gerry. It's a rare opportunity for you to speak directly to the director. Okay, Michael, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Gerry, I want to ask how much the Indonesia companies already implement the SDGs compared to other countries, and are there still any big gaps that we have to catch on? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, so as far as I know, mostly the SDG implication is very minimum here. Implementation is very minimum in Indonesia because of the environmental we are in. It's not a very easy project to tackle. As well as the for the big corporation, the international companies, they can find SDG opportunities with greater effect abroad compared to Indonesia. Again, like my plastic energy project, for me to make the investment, he will generate more return in other countries than Indonesia because of the sorting situation. So for us, with as a company, we do have a limited fund, and us as a group, we are quite an international player. So the question is, do I want to invest in Indonesia or do I want to invest abroad? Where it is in Indonesia, if I have 2 plants, I can get 3 plants abroad. Yeah. So those are the issues here that we see the SDG implementation is still very minimal compared to the other countries, as the infrastructure is not very supportive yet. Okay. Exactly how many, I don't have the numbers, sorry to say.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Gerry.
Okay, thank you, Michael, and thank you, Mr. Gerry, for the question. Okay, before we close this session, we would like to give appreciation to our distinguished speaker. Okay, the screen is already shared. Okay, certificate of appreciation is awarded to Mr. Gerry Kertowidjojo as keynote speech in the webinar SDGs within Company Menefesto 2021, Agents of 2030, held on December 14 till 22, 2021. Signed and by Dr. Istiharini, CMA, Head of Management Undergraduate Program, and also Jaslyn Chandra, Chief Executive of Menefesto 2021. Thank you very much, Mr. Gerry, for your sharing, very insightful and also very fruitful discussion for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fernando.
Okay. Next, maybe. Okay, even though Ms. Gabriel is not around, she apologizes, she has another appointment. Thank you. Certificate of appreciation is awarded to Gabriel Anggriani as keynote speech in the webinar SDGs within Company Menefesto 2021, Agents of 2030, held on December 14 to 22, 2021. Signed by Dr. Istiharini, CMA, Head of Management Undergraduate Program, and also Jaslyn Chandra, Chief Executive of Menefesto 2021. Okay, that's it for the certification and appreciation. I will back to our MC today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for Mr. Fernando for being the moderator on today's discussion and has been leading the discussion effectively so that today's topic can be well discussed by the speakers. Furthermore, we would like to thank all the speakers who has discussed today's topic actively and passionately. We hope and believe that from today's discussion, we could understand, apply, and expand our impact for nation development. It's hard to believe that our time is running out, and now we're almost at the end of this webinar. But before we close it, we want to take a pictures together, so we would like to invite all of our amazing participants to turn on your camera, look straight at the camera, and give your best smile. To the documentation team, you may have a lead.
Okay, hello everyone, I'm Renali from Team Documentation. Right now is photo session, so everyone be prepared because I'm going to start from slide 1. Okay, for slide 1, 1, 2, 3, okay. Next, 1, 2, 3. Okay, for next slide, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next slide, 1, 2, 3. Okay. For next slide, 1, 2, 3. Okay, for last slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, photo session has done. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you for the documentation team. And I would like to give some information before we end this webinar. For all the participants, please fill our evaluation form in the chat box as a confirmation of participation and for certificate purpose. The certificate will be sent via email after 24 hours after the event ended. And last but not least, we thank all of the participants and audiences who attend today's event. It has been a great honor for me and Natasha Lim for having the opportunity to be part of Menefesto 2021 webinar SDGs within company. We hope the topic that we talked today could be implemented in the future. And that's all for this webinar. But before we go, we would like to remind you that Menefesto 2021 Agents of 2030 will be held until December 22nd of 2021. For further information, you can check out our website at www.menefesto.online or our Instagram account at Menefesto with the spelling at MENEFESTO. And that's all for today. Thank you for coming and we hope to see you next time. Keep moving.
Keep acting.
Keep inspiring. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, and since the third webinar for today's event is over, we will again our gratitude towards the speaker that have presented the material previously. And we also wish the best of luck to all of the speakers in the third webinar session.
Now, without realizing it, today's event has come to its end. But you don't have to be worried yet because we still have 8 days for Menefesto 2021, and starting from tomorrow, December 15th to December 21, we will begin to cover more specific goals of the SDGs.
Today, we will focus the event's topic on the number 9 SDG, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. On the third day, we will focus on the number 14 SDG, Life Below Water.
After we talk about the life below water, on the fourth day, the topic will be focused on number 15 SDG, Life on Land. And on the fifth day, the topic will be focused on number 4 SDG, Quality Education.
On the sixth day, we will talk about the number 5 SDG, about gender equality. And on the seventh day, we will talk about the number 8 SDG, about decent work and economic growth.
On the 8th day, we will talk about the number 3 SDG, about good health and well-being. And finally, to the last day on 22 December, we will have the closing ceremony of Menefesto 2021, Agents of 2030.
Yes. Now we will end today's event. As our last words, we would want to express our gratitude to our sponsor for today's event. There are Are Outdoor Gear, Move and Adventure, PT Bintang Warna Mandiri, and PT Yabes Kokyo.
And last but not least, we wanted to express our gratitude to all of the beloved participants here that have followed today's event from the start till the end. I'm Rio Junior and my colleague,
Teresia Fiani.
On behalf of Parayangan Catholic University Management Undergraduate Program, are really hopeful for all of the participants here to have the best luck and succeed.
And that's it for today. Thank you to all of the participants and see you on the next day. Keep moving, keep acting, keep inspiring.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.